The air was dry and acrid, heavy with the scent of stone that hadn't been touched in millennia. Commander Elena Vera adjusted the seal on her helmet and stepped deeper into the ruins of Koreshtor. Floodlights cut across towering monoliths half buried in ash, their crystalline surfaces fractured by age but still gleaming faintly, as if reluctant to let go of their secrets. "Careful with the scanners," she said over the comm, her voice sharp but calm. "These structures survived longer than our species has existed. Don't be the one to break them." Her team moved with deliberate caution, boots crunching across black dust. Lieutenant Arjun, younger than most, swung his wrist display to a half-toppled slab etched in alien glyphs. "Commander, you'll want to see this. It's not just inscriptions. There's an energy trace inside the stone. Still active." Elena crouched beside the slab. The glyphs shimmered faintly under her visor's augmented overlay. Angular, flowing, alive with strange rhythm. The translator AI hesitated, recalibrated, then finally displayed a rough line of text. "Beware the children of ash and iron." Elena frowned. "That's poetic. Run deeper analysis." The words lengthened as the AI cross-referenced centuries of alien linguistics. "When they rise, the stars themselves shall tremble. None shall withstand their fire." A murmur spread through the team. Sergeant Kyla, ever skeptical, muttered, "Sounds like religious rambling. Old civilizations love their doomed speeches." Arjun didn't look convinced. "Or it's a warning. About us." Elena silenced him with a glance, though the thought had already taken root. Humanity had come far, faster than anyone expected. From first jump drive to interstellar presence in less than 2 centuries. To aliens who'd lingered for millennia, humans must already look like a storm on the horizon. She touched the glowing runes. "We don't jump to conclusions. History isn't prophecy." A sharp tone cut across comms. The voice of their orbiting escort, tense and clipped. "Commander, we have incoming. Multiple ships bearing AR Quest Dominion markings. They've just dropped from FDL." The temperature seemed to drop, even in her suit. Elena rose slowly, her hand brushing dust from her armor. The AR Quests were zealots, clinging to prophecy as law. If they were here, it wasn't by chance. "Copy," Elena replied. "Maintain defensive posture, but do not engage unless fired upon. I'll handle this." Arjun's faceplate caught the glow of the glyphs. "Commander, if they already knew about this site, maybe they've been guarding it. Or hiding it," Elena said. She gave the slab one last look. Its symbols pulsed faintly, as though aware of her presence. By the time they reached the extraction shuttle, the alien fleet loomed above Koreshtor. Sharp, curved hulls hung in orbit like blackened blades, their silver veils reflecting the system's red sun. No weapons were hot, but no one mistook this for peace. Elena's boots hit the deck of her frigate, TNS Halcyon, and she moved directly to the bridge. Holographic projections shimmered in the air. Dozens of hostile contacts arrayed in perfect formation. "Signal from the flagship," the comm officer reported. "They request immediate audience." "Patch it through," Elena ordered. The figure of an AR Quest High Seer resolved in front of her, elongated skull, eyes like shards of obsidian, robes shimmering with metallic threads. His voice slithered through the translator, low and solemn. "Human commander, you trespass upon holy ground. These ruins are sealed by decree older than your kind's first spark. Withdraw or be purged." Elena stood tall, unblinking. "The ruins predate your decrees, Seer. Knowledge belongs to none, and history belongs to all. Humanity will not erase its findings because your faith demands it." The alien's gaze hardened. "You speak boldly for a child species. Do you even know what you uncovered? The prophecy of the Zyrith Dominion speaks of your kind. Children of ash and iron. Do you not feel the weight of those words?" Her crew stiffened, silent. Elena kept her tone measured. Words carved by a civilization long dead. "We don't build our future on superstition." Caleb leaned forward, voice lowering to something closer to a threat than a warning. "Every empire that laughed at prophecy fell. Humanity rises too quickly, consumes too much, spreads too far. You are the scourge foretold. Withdraw, or the galaxy will unite to extinguish your fire before it spreads." Elena's jaw tightened, but she allowed herself a faint, dry smile. If the galaxy fears us this much, perhaps you should ask yourselves why. Maybe the prophecy isn't warning you about us. Maybe it's warning you about what fear does to empires. The seer's projection shimmered, his expression unreadable. Then the feed cut. The bridge fell into a heavy silence. Kyla broke it first. They'll come back in force, Commander. That much was clear. Elena stared at the tactical map, the alien fleet still hovering beyond immediate reach. Then let them. Humanity didn't cross the void to bow to ghosts. She turned to her officers, her voice calm but steel-edged. Signal the Union. Inform them the AR quests are preparing a crusade. And lock every scrap of data we've collected from Koreshtor. Whatever this prophecy truly means, it just became a weapon aimed at Earth. The floodlights of the ruins still lingered in her thoughts, the glow of words half translated, half understood. Beware the children of ash and iron. She remembered the pulse of the stone beneath her glove, as though the words had been waiting for her all along. Elena Vera, commander, scholar, and soldier, had no belief in destiny. But tonight, staring at the stars beyond her viewport, she couldn't shake the feeling that the prophecy wasn't warning the aliens about humanity. It was warning humanity about what was coming next. The neutral station hung in orbit above Koreshtor like a hollowed-out moon, its ancient docking rings patched with newer alloys from half a dozen species. Flags of neutrality glimmered across its surface. But Elena knew better than to trust symbols when zealotry drove the enemy. She stood on the Halcyon's bridge, helmet tucked under one arm. Confirmed security protocols. No weapons inside the council chamber, not even concealed ones. If the AR quest want diplomacy, we give them no excuse to call us warmongers. Her first officer frowned. Commander, the seer isn't coming here to negotiate. He wants us afraid. Elena's mouth curved into something too sharp to be called a smile. Then we'll disappoint him. The council chamber was vast, its architecture designed to impress smaller delegates. Pillars stretched upward into shadow, banners of alien houses fluttering gently in the recycled air. A ring-shaped table filled the center, lit by a faint golden glow. High Seer Caliph awaited her at the far end, his tall frame wrapped in shimmering robes that caught the light like flowing metal. He did not rise as she entered. His eyes, black and unblinking, tracked her every step. Commander Vera. His voice rasped through the translator, low and deliberate. You bring the scent of your world into sacred halls. The ash clings to you. Elena seated herself opposite him, posture steady, gaze level. We bring only truth. If these ruins are sacred, then truth should not fear the light. Caliph tilted his head, slightly. Bold words. You humans do favor boldness. But tell me, do you even understand what you touched? She leaned forward. An inscription left by the Zyrith. A civilization long gone. History to study, not chains to bind us. The seer's hands curled around his staff. Not history. Warning. The prophecy is not metaphor, not superstition. It is law, and your kind is its subject. He rose slowly, letting the silence stretch. The children of ash and iron. You spread like fire, consuming worlds, bending the stars themselves to your will. In less than 2 centuries, you have become what others needed millennia to achieve. That is not ambition. That is inevitability. The prophecy saw you before you even existed. Elena did not flinch. Or maybe it saw fear. Civilizations afraid of change carve warnings into stone because they cannot imagine survival without control. Kalitha's voice sharpened. Your kind is not feared because you are strong. You are feared because you do not know when to stop. The galaxy remembers conquerors. It remembers ruin. We will not allow your rise to follow the same path. Her jaw tightened, but her tone remained calm. Humanity has no desire to conquer. We build because we must. We expand because survival demands it. If that unsettles old empires, perhaps they should look inward, not outward. Kalitha's eyes narrowed. You believe yourselves innocent. Yet even your words reveal the truth. Survival at any cost. That is the mark of a scourge. You will consume until nothing remains. The prophecy is clear. Your fire will end us all. For a moment the chamber seemed to close in, banners rustling like whispers of judgment. Elena held his gaze, unyielding. Then perhaps the prophecy isn't about us. Perhaps it's about you. Fear makes empires desperate. Desperation makes them dangerous. Maybe the prophecy warned what fear would do to those who tried to stop us. The seer's composure cracked. A flicker of rage burned across his alien features. Blasphemy. You twist sacred words to suit your arrogance. Or maybe, Elena said evenly, I refuse to let your superstition dictate our future. The meeting dissolved with no handshakes, no pretense of civility. The seer departed surrounded by his acolytes, his final words echoing in the chamber. You will not be allowed to rise. Elena returned to the halcyon with a weight pressing her chest. She moved directly to the war room, her senior officers gathering around the holodeble as the seer's fleet expanded in projection. They're pulling in reinforcements, her tactical officer said. Scouts confirm AR Quest ships crossing neutral systems. They're not just watching us anymore, they're preparing. How many? Elena asked. Dozens. Soon it will be hundreds. They're rallying smaller civilizations, pulling in allies with this prophecy as their banner. Elena studied the growing mass of red markers. The AR quests weren't just posturing. They were laying groundwork for war. Sergeant Kyla folded her arms, expression grim. Commander, we should request immediate evacuation. We can't face that many ships with our current strength. Elena shook her head. If we leave now, we admit guilt. We let them shape the narrative that humanity is too dangerous to even stand beside ruins. No, we hold our ground until the Union decides. The room fell silent. Finally, Arjun spoke, quieter than usual. Commander, what if the prophecy really is about us? What if everything they fear is true? Elena met his gaze. He was young, but honest enough to voice what others thought. Prophecies are easy to believe when you want an excuse to hate, but we are not bound by old words. We are defined by choice. And I'll be damned if I let someone else's ghost decide humanity's future. Her words steadied the room, but not the unease. Outside, alien fleets grew stronger. Inside, her crew prepared for a war that seemed less a possibility and more certainty. Later, alone in her quarters, Elena replayed the seer's words. You do not know when to stop. Was that false? Humanity had always pushed forward, driven by hunger for survival, curiosity, and ambition. But was that a curse, or the very reason they still endured while others fell? The translator's rendering of the prophecy flickered across her screen once more. Beware the children of ash and iron. When they rise, the stars themselves shall tremble. None shall withstand their fire. She studied the lines, tracing each syllable with her eyes. Warnings could be twisted, mistranslated, bent to serve fear. What if they were reading it wrong? What if fire wasn't destruction at all, but endurance? A chime interrupted her thoughts. The bridge called through. Commander, Union Council demands a full report. They want to know if Kayla speaks bluff or truth. Elena rose, squaring her shoulders. Then let's give them truth. The AR quests are rallying the galaxy, and if they're coming for humanity, we'd better be ready. She cut the channel and stared at the stars burning outside her viewport. Prophecy or not, the storm was gathering, and humanity had no choice but to stand against it. The Union Council's chamber orbited Earth. A ring of steel and glass where the voices of 200 species converged in perpetual debate. It was supposed to be a place of unity, yet Elena could feel division in the air long before she spoke. Delegates shifted uneasily as her holographic projection flickered into existence. She saw suspicion in her eyes, some glaring openly, others whispering as if her presence confirmed the prophecy already. Counselor turned to the Erythians leaned forward, his feathered crown trembling. Commander Vera, reports confirm the AR quests have summoned fleets from 6 neutral systems. They invoke the Zyrith prophecy as justification. Do you deny that your kind matches a description of the so-called children of ash and iron? Elena refused to glance away. Descriptions are malleable, Counselor. Humanity survived by rising from fire and ruin, yes, but survival does not equate to conquest. The AR quests exploit superstition to mask their ambition. This is not about prophecy. This is about control. Murmurs rippled. A delegate from the Serity clicked her mandibles in disdain. And yet the prophecy aligns too closely to dismiss. The humans rise unnaturally fast. Perhaps inevitability lies in their nature. Elena's voice sharpened. Or perhaps inevitability lies in fear. If we condemn a species for growing quickly, we condemn progress itself. You speak a prophecy as if it absolves choice. But every war in history began not with fate but with fear. For a heartbeat, silence settled. Then High Chancellor Idrin, the human representative, stood. Commander Vera has risked her life to bring us truth. The AR Quest gather fleets under false pretenses. If we fail to act, their fear becomes justification for annihilation. But not all were convinced. A Vrykul elder rumbled deep in his chest. Then let them burn one another. Why should the Union bleed for humanity's ambition? Perhaps the prophecy exists to protect us. Elena's hands tighten at her sides. If the Union abandons us, you prove the AR Quest right, that fear governs you. Humanity won't vanish quietly. If attacked, we'll defend ourselves. And history will remember who stood with us and who left us to ash. Her projection dimmed as the session recessed. Decision hung in the void, fragile as glass. Back aboard the Halcyon, tension rippled through the crew. The Council's hesitation was no victory. If anything, it deepened the peril. Kyla paced near the tactical display. They don't trust us. Half the Council sees us as prophecy fulfilled. The other half is too afraid to choose. We're standing alone, Commander. Not alone, Arjun said, though his tone carried more hope than certainty. We still have allies. Some will see the truth. Elena studied the display of red markers where AR Quest fleets swelled like a tide. Allies who hesitate are not allies we can count on. What matters is what we do now. If they want proof that we are not aggressors, we give them proof. But we prepare as if war is inevitable. Her words steadied them, but the weight behind them was unmistakable. 3 days later, the storm arrived. The Halcyon patrolled near the neutral corridor when sensors lit red. Dozens of ships tore from warp, their angular hulls glowing with AR Quest insignia. Kael'thas's fleet had arrived. The bridge fell silent as their formation encircled the corridor like predators closing on prey. Transmission incoming, the comms officer said. Kael'thas's visage filled the screen, his expression a mask of cold triumph. Children of Ash, you stand where prophecy forbids. You were warned. Now judgment comes. Elena stepped forward, voice unwavering. We stand under Union protection. Any strike here is a violation of Council law. Kael'thas's eyes glimmered. Law bends to truth, and truth is prophecy. Your fire ends here. The transmission cut. Moments later, AR Quest ships flared with energy. Tactical status? Elena barked. Shields powering. Enemy weapons locked. They're targeting us and the civilian transports in the corridor. Of course they are, she muttered. Helm, keep us between the transports and their guns. Weapons, return fire only when fired upon. No first strike. The crew obeyed, though unease flickered across their faces. Seconds later, the void erupted. Plasma beams streaked past, hammering the Halcyon shields with concussive force. Alarms screamed through the bridge. Shields at 70. Elena gripped the railing. Target their lead cruiser. Disable, don't destroy. The Halcyon's cannons thundered, lancing energy across the void. One AR Quest cruiser staggered, its engine sputtering. Yet more poured in, overwhelming in number. Multiple hostiles flanking. Kyla shouted. Arjun's hands flew over the console. We can't hold this corridor much longer. Shields dropping fast. Elena's mind raced. If they retreated, the transports died. If they stayed, they risked annihilation. Both outcomes played into Kael'thas's prophecy. Divert auxiliary to shields. Launch drones, create false targets. Helm, break their encirclement. If they want us cornered, we deny them that satisfaction. The Halcyon surged forward, drones scattering like shrapnel across the stars. AR Quest gunners struck at illusions, buying the ship seconds of breathing space. Elena's jaw clenched. Seconds weren't enough. Commander, Kyla said, if we keep this up, we burn out the reactors. Then we find another way. Elena's gaze locked on the tactical display, tracing the fleet's formation. A narrow gap shimmered at the edge of their blockade. A weakness, fleeting but real. There, she pointed. Punch through their flank. Get the transports out. Helm pushed the engines to their limit. The Halcyon roared through the gap, guns blazing to clear the path. Transports followed, scattering into warp corridors. But the cost was brutal. AR Quest fire raked the ship's hull, tearing through plating. The bridge shook violently, sparks spraying from overhead conduits. Shields collapsing. Elena braced herself. Keep moving. Get them clear. One by one, the transports vanished into warp. Relief cut through the chaos until the tactical officer spoke again. Commander, AR Quest fleet not pursuing. They're withdrawing. Confusion rippled. Why retreat when victory was close? The answer came in Kael'thas's final broadcast, his face filling the screen once more. You see? Even in defense, you burn. Even when protecting, you bring ruin upon yourselves. The prophecy unfolds, and all who watch will know it. The transmission ended. Elena stared at the fractured hull displays, the smoke curling through her bridge. Kael'thas hadn't come to win a battle. He had come to write a narrative. And she knew, with chilling certainty, that the galaxy would believe him. The Halcyon limped into dock at Helios Station, its hull scorched and plating scarred from Kael'thas's ambush. Engineers swarmed the vessel like surgeons working on a patient clinging to life. From the observation deck, Elena watched repair crews cut away twisted armor, sparks flickering against a void. What unsettled her most wasn't the damage. It was the silence. Reports should have been flooding in with offers of aid, condemnations of AR Quest aggression, pledges of solidarity. Instead, the Union Council issued only measured statements, deliberately vague. Kyla appeared beside her, jaw tight. They're spinning it as a border skirmish. The transports made it out, but no one's talking about that. The focus is on how much destruction the humans caused just by being there. Elena turned, voice low, which was the point. Kael'thas didn't want a victory. He wanted a spectacle, and he got one. Arjun joined them, holding a datapad heavy with news feeds. Public forums across Union space are flooded with one phrase, children of ash and iron. It's everywhere. The AR Quest narrative is sticking. Elena, clench your hands. Then we need a counter-narrative. One that proves we're more than prophecy. Something undeniable. But what? She didn't yet know. The council reconvened days later. This time, the chamber felt even colder. Delegates arrived under pressure from their people, many of whom now demanded decisive action, though not necessarily in humanity's favor. Kael'thas himself appeared as a shimmering projection, his presence dominating the floor. You see it now, he said smoothly. They bring chaos where they tread. They cling to survival with fire and ruin. And soon, their ruin will consume us all unless we act. Elena rose in defiance. Your fleets ambushed us in neutral space, slaughtered innocents, and twisted the truth. You want war, not prophecy fulfilled. Kael'thas's gaze swept across the chamber, ignoring her. Ask yourselves, how many civilizations fell before prophecy proved true? Must you witness it firsthand to believe? A murmur of fear surged through the delegates. Elena pressed forward. We are not destroyers. We are survivors. If you abandon us, you don't prevent war, you invite it. Because humanity will not go quietly. High Chancellor Idrin added weight to her words. The Union stands at a precipice. Choose fear, and you give Kael'thas everything he wants. Choose truth, and you preserve peace. But when the vote was called, the results cut like a blade. Support fractured. Some pledged aid, others neutrality, and too many chose to withdraw entirely. Humanity's place in the Union crumbled in real time. As the chamber emptied, Kael'thas's parting words echoed. Prophecy does not divide us. Humanity does. Back on the Halcyon, silence ruled the briefing room. The crew sat gathered, the weight of betrayal pressing down. Kyla finally broke it. Half our supposed allies just abandoned us. The other half will hesitate until it's too late. We can't depend on anyone. Arjun leaned forward. Then maybe it's time to stop waiting for the Union to save us. If Kaletha is playing a narrative game, we need to expose him. Show the galaxy what he really is. Elena studied their faces. Fear and anger mingled, but behind it all was resolve. Agreed. We stop reacting. We start acting. She tapped the display, pulling up intelligence from intercepted AR Quest transmissions. A single system blinked red. Vera's Rest, a small colony world known for its research archives. Arjun's eyes widened. That's where the original prophecy records are stored. Elena nodded. Exactly. If Kaletha is twisting words, we find the source, and we show the truth before he buries it. The mission was perilous from the outset. Vera's Rest lay deep within contested space. Its defenses minimal. The AR Quest would not ignore such a prize. As the Halcyon dropped from warp above the colony, they found the system eerily silent. The station orbiting the planet drifted without power, lights dark, comms dead. Too quiet, Kyla muttered. Scans. Elena asked. Life signs scattered. No major fleet detected, but wait. Before she finished, warning sirens screamed. 3 AR Quest frigates decloaked, weapons armed. Of course, Elena breathed. Kaleth wouldn't leave this unguarded. The battle erupted instantly. The Halcyon dove into evasive maneuvers, trading fire with the frigates. Hull plating shuddered under enemy strikes. Arjun's voice cut through. If we focus on fighting, we'll lose the colony. We need a boarding team. Elena didn't hesitate. Kyla, take Alpha Squad. Secure the archives. I'll hold them here. Kyla grabbed her rifle and moved for the hangar. Without a word, the shuttle broke atmosphere under fire, streaking toward the colony's surface. Kyla led her squad through ruined streets, buildings smoldering from earlier raids. The research archive stood intact, a fortress of data towers stretching skyward. Inside, silence reigned. The halls were littered with abandoned terminals and shattered glass. Movement. One soldier whispered, raising his weapon. Figures emerged. AR Quest warriors guarding the central chamber. Gunfire erupted. The squad pushed forward, every step a battle. Kyla moved like a blade, cutting through resistance until she reached the archive core. There, she found a prize, a crystalline data matrix humming with ancient recordings. She secured it, her pulse hammering. Package acquired, she transmitted. We're exfiltrating. But before they could retreat, a shadow descended from above. A massive AR Quest warrior blocked their path, armor etched with prophetic symbols. You think knowledge saves you, he growled. Prophecy is truth, and truth cannot be erased. Kyla leveled her weapon. Then we'll just rewrite the ending. The battle was brutal. Close quarters, steel against steel. At last, the warrior fell, and Kyla's squad fled with a matrix. Above, the Halcyon fought desperately, shields flickering under relentless assault. Just as enemy fire threatened to break them, Kyla's voice came through. Commander, we have it. Get us out. Elena seized a chance. Helm, open warp window. Bring them aboard and jump. The frigates lunged to intercept, but too late. The Halcyon vanished into the void, carrying with it the one thing Kaleth feared most. The truth. In the aftermath, the crew gathered in the briefing room, the matrix pulsing softly between them. Its data would take time to decode, but the promise was clear. Kyla placed a hand on the device. This is it. Proof that prophecy isn't what Kaleth claims. Elena met their eyes, voice firm. Then we spread it. We tear his lies apart. If the Union won't save us, we save ourselves. For the first time since the war began, hope glimmered. Not in the Council's halls, but in their own determination. The crystalline matrix sat at the center of the Halcyon's war room, pulsing faint light across the walls. Engineers and linguists crowded the consoles, translating fragments of the prophecy. Hours blurred, but at last the core message emerged. It's not a curse, Arjun whispered, staring at the decoded glyphs. It's a warning, meant for the AR Quest themselves. Elena leaned closer. Read it. He steadied himself, voice carrying through the room. The children born of ash and iron will rise from ruin. not to destroy, but to remind the stars of what was lost. Their fire is survival, not conquest. Silence fell. The prophecy that had branded humanity as monsters was not condemnation. It was hope. Kyla exhaled sharply. Caliph twisted every word. He's been using fear to unite his people against us. Elena's fist tightened. Then we turn his weapon back on him. We show the Union what prophecy really says. Their window was slim. Caliph had summoned the council again, demanding a vote on humanity's expulsion from the Union. If it passed, Earth would stand alone against the AR quest. The Halcyon slipped into orbit above Helio Station under cover of chaos. Outside, Union fleets formed uneasy lines, half prepared for defense, half watching for betrayal. Inside the chamber, Kalida's projection loomed, his voice sharp as glass. Humanity spreads like fire, consuming allies and enemies alike. Cast them out before they cast us all into ruin. Delegates murmured, fear thickening like smoke. Then Elena stepped forward, flanked by Kyla and Arjun. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Humans were not expected, much less welcome. You speak a prophecy, Elena called. Her voice cut into the din, then let all hear the truth of it. She activated the Matrix. Holograms filled the chamber. Ancient AR Quest recordings, the original verses preserved in crystalline clarity. The words rang out in their native tongue, undeniable, untwisted. When the final line echoed, their fire is survival, not conquest, the chamber erupted in uproar. One delegate rose, pointing at Kalida's image. You lied. You forged fear for war. Kalida's expression twisted with fury. They corrupted the records. Do you not see? This is their deception. But his voice wavered. For the first time, cracks showed in his perfect composure. Arjun pressed forward. The Matrix was sealed in your own archives, untouched for centuries. If we could alter it, so could you, who benefits from twisting it into a curse. The chamber buzzed with suspicion, not at the humans, but at Caliph. Fury replaced calculation. Kalida's projection flickered, replaced with the looming bulk of his flagship, decloaking outside Helio Station. His fleet surged with it, massive warships forming a wall of firepower. Delegates panicked. Some called for retreat, others for surrender. Elena slammed her hand on the console. He's proving us right, attacking the council itself. If you want proof humanity isn't the enemy, stand with us now. For a breathless moment, hesitation ruled. Then the Chancellor spoke, voice like steel. Union ships defend the station. The chamber shook as the first barrage struck. The Halcyon leapt into the fray, weaving between titanic blasts. Union vessels, hesitant moments before, now rallied beside them. The battle became chaos. AR Quest cruisers hammering the station, human and alien ships answering with desperate fire. On the bridge, alarms shrieked. Shields down to 30%. Elena's voice cut steady through the storm. Target Kalida's flagship. Cut off the head. Kyla manned the weapons, hands flying across controls. Locking rail batteries. Firing. The shot tore into the enemy's flank, ripping armor away. But the flagship endured, weapons blazing. Caliph himself appeared on their comms, eyes burning. You think truth will save you? Survival always comes with blood. Elena met his gaze without flinching. Then let the galaxy see whose hands are stained. The battle pressed to breaking point. The Halcyon dove into a deadly chase, luring enemy ships away from the station. Inside the chamber, the Council broadcast a prophecy across every open channel, flooding Union networks with Kalida's deception and humanity's vindication. Momentum shifted. One by one, neutral fleets joined the fight, unwilling to side with a proven liar. Arjun's console lit up. Kalida's flagship shields are weakening. We can punch through, but we'll never get a clean shot unless someone gets close. Kyla finished grimly. Elena nodded once. Prep a strike team. We take him down inside. The boarding action was suicide. The shuttle pierced enemy defenses under a storm of fire, crash landing into the flagship's hangar. Elena, Kyla, and a handful of soldiers stormed the corridors, fighting room by room toward the bridge. AR Quest defenders fell back under their ferocity. Humanity's fury wasn't prophecy. It was choice. At the final blast door, Caleb awaited them, blade in hand, armor gleaming with runes. His voice was venom. So the destroyers come to finish what the stars foretold. Elena leveled her rifle. No prophecy brought us here. You did. The duel was swift and brutal. Caleb moved with the grace of predator, but desperation fueled every strike. Kyla met him head-on, steel clashing in showers of sparks, while Elena and the squad drove him back. At last, wounded and cornered, Caleb spat, "If humanity survives, the galaxy burns. This is destiny." Elena's reply was ice. "Destiny is written by those who live." Her final shot pierced his chest. Caleb collapsed. Disbelief etched across his features as his lifeblood spread across the deck. The flagship fell silent. Without Caleb's command, AR Quest formations faltered, retreating into the void. The council chamber erupted in relief as victory swept through the fleets. On the bridge of the Halcyon, battered and scarred, the crew watched the enemy vanish. Kyla slumped into her seat, bloody but alive. So much for prophecy. Arjun smiled faintly. History will remember this as the day truth won. Elena stood at the viewport, Earth's distant light glimmering in the void. No, history will remember it as the day we chose our own path. In the weeks that followed, the Union shifted. Delegates who had once demanded humanity's exile now stood in support, chastened by Caleb's lies. Trust would take time, but the narrative had changed. Humanity was not the destroyer of worlds, but the survivor who reminded the galaxy what it meant to endure. At last, Elena returned to Earth. She stood on the old soil of home, watching children play beneath the sky, untouched by war. Kyla joined her, armor left behind for once. "Do you think the galaxy will ever stop fearing us?" Elena smiled softly. "Fear fades, but survival endures. And as long as we endure, we'll prove the prophecy right. Not as monsters, but as reminders. Above them, stars burn bright, not as omens, but as promises waiting to be written.